Hey there, I'm Brian Polikoff, and in today's feature spotlight, we're going to talk about Churn Assassin's Heatmap feature and Kanban view. This is a fantastic feature for you to be able to focus your efforts on customers that need your attention the most. A way to cut through the noise of everything that's going on every single day while you're at work. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in. So what you're going to see here is a grid view. This grid view of our Heatmap system allows you to quickly and easily see your customers at a glance. Now, before we get too far into the weeds, let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing. So up in the first area of the page, you're going to see that we have kind of a grouping or filtering. So we've got a filter for high risk customers, normal risk customers, low risk, and customers that are trending down. Over on the right side, you'll see a search box, and then up in the top right area, you'll see two different icons, one for grid view, which is the view we're currently looking at, and one for the Kanban view. So with that, let's hop into actually what you're seeing. Now, what you're seeing on my screen here, these are all customers. Right now, we're looking at everyone. So let's go ahead and just look at our high-risk customers. These are the customers that Churn Assassin's 5 machine learning algorithms, what we call Churn Radar, has identified as customers with a significant risk of canceling within the next 6 to 8 months. And this is important to know. These are customers that if they are left to their own devices, if there's no intervention from your team, the likelihood of them renewing is very, very, very low. So let's talk a little bit about each one of these grid boxes or each one of the cards that you're looking at. So if we take a look at company, let's take a look at this one here, company 197 or Zendesk, right? You can see Zendesk. You'll notice that there's a details. You can open up the details to kind of see a little bit of information about that particular customer, but you can also see the renewal probability score. The current renewal probability score for this particular customer is 29%. Last month, they were at 39%. This is interesting for two reasons. Number one, the current renewal probability score is below the high risk threshold, meaning it's inside that threshold for the system to call this as a high risk account. The second thing that's interesting is last month it was at 39, which is lower than the current, which is why you see the red arrow. This indicates to you a trajectory. This now tells you this customer is not moving in the right direction. So yes, they are a high risk customer, but they're also a high risk customer that is trending down on the renewal probability score. So based on the annual revenue of this account, maybe you want to make this an account a priority. At $534, potentially not. Maybe this is an account that you'll focus your efforts on another account. Let's say company 159, Intuit. They pay about $10,000 in ARR a year. And you'll notice that their current and last month renewal probability scores were the same. So that means that there's no improvement on this account. This account is just kind of floating along in a dangerous territory. If we come over here and scroll down a little bit further, you'll see many, many, many others within the system. Now, here's a great example of an account that had a strong and intentional change. So the current renewal probability score for company 352 is 29%, whereas last month it was all the way up at 70. So that is a big change. And if we were to look into this account, you probably would see that they had a lot of critical behaviors that have been identified along with this particular account. And we'll talk about behaviors in a different video. If you're interested, definitely check out the videos below. But with this being said, let's come back up and take a look at our normal risk customers. These are customers that their current rate is a little bit higher, and they also have not experienced the same level of critical or high risk behaviors. And then of course we have our low risk clients. And then of course we have lastly is our trending down. These are going to be the customers that they might not be categorized in high risk or normal risk or even low risk, but whatever their renewal probability scores were, they're trending down. They're not going in the right direction. So here's a great example. If we take a look at Effie, you can see the current score is 84%. Well, that's not awful. That's actually really, really good. Any score within the Churn Assassin system that's typically above 40%, that's going to be considered a low risk customer. Now, with that being said, you can see last month they were at 95 though. So last month they were almost perfect. This month they're trending down. They're down to 84%. So potentially if we do not pay attention to this particular customer in a month, maybe they'll be down to 60. In another month, maybe they'll be down to 40. In another month, so on and so forth. So this is an amazing way for you to isolate potentially problematic accounts before they become problematic. So if we come back on over to show all, that'll bring every one of them back for us. But let's head on over to the Kanban view. And what that will do is that will allow us to see this information just in a little bit of a different spotlight. So let's click on Kanban. And as you can see here, we have our high risk, normal, trending down, and then lastly, our low risk customers. So you'll notice that the view at first glance looks very similar. The difference though is that rather than the view being in kind of a grid view, this is more of in a vertical swim lane view. So as you can see here, if we scroll up and down within the high risk customers, you'll be able to see all of your high risk customers. You'll notice though, also the column is sorted by ARR. So now it's going to put your high risk customers that pay a lot at the very, very, very top. Then of course, we can do the same for our normal companies that are in the normal risk category, our companies that are in the trending down category, and of course, our companies that are in our low risk category as well. Now, keep in mind, you can click on any one of these companies to be brought directly to that particular customer's account within the system, to go into their detailed profile, to be able to see their overview, their properties, their churn radar signals, the insights, the behaviors, and the activity timeline. We're going to talk a lot more about the company overview and the profile in a different video, but just know that directly from the heat map or the Kanban view, you can access all of this information very quickly, very easily. So that's going to wrap up our feature spotlight of Churn Assassin's heat map and Kanban views. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.